The external ceiling array collapsed under the impact of the sea of flames, shattering into countless burning, invisible fragments that were swept in all directions. Even the endless mist within the circular mountain range was torn apart by the roaring expansion of the firestorm, dissipating entirely. For the first time in countless years, the mist of the Rainbow Realm within the circular mountain range disappeared. The inscribed shadows floating cross-legged within the mist struggled against the invasion of the firestorm. Further away, in the valley outside the mountains, the firestorm swept across the sky in an instant, turning the place into a fiery hell. The cracking sound of burning echoed through the land. Valleys crumbled, disintegrating into flaming rubble that spread in all directions. In one of the valleys, an elderly woman in a green robe looked pale, her face drained of color. She was trembling with fear, her hands forming seals as she continuously deployed barriers to resist the firestorm overwhelming her surroundings. Beyond the valley lay the outermost edge of the Rainbow Realm, teeming with fierce beasts. Qin Tianjun, during these past days, had been cautiously navigating through these beasts, searching for primordial crystals, taking great risks. Despite having the beast-taming sect's divine abilities, obtaining primordial crystals among these Tier 12 fierce beasts was as difficult as plucking teeth from a tiger's mouth. He had come close to death several times. At this moment, he was emerging from the fog beast mist, his heart racing, running towards the distance. Behind him, a roar echoed from the mist, and a wild wind howled, chasing after him. In that instant, the sky in the distance suddenly turned white. The seven-colored light in the sky vanished in an instant, and an indescribable wave of heat surged towards him. From afar, it looked like an earth-shattering spectacle. The fierce beast chasing Qin Tianjun in the mist suddenly froze, then without hesitation, gave up the pursuit and sped back into the mist. In an instant, the white sea of flames spread, the heat wave roaring as it consumed the entire outer perimeter of the Rainbow Realm. Only Qin Tianjun's body remained untouched by the heat, as if the heat wave and flames intentionally avoided him. He stood there, drenched in sweat, his mind shaken. He could clearly feel the intense heat within the firestorm, realizing that even he could not endure much longer in its midst. Moreover, within that sea of flames, he sensed the aura of Wang Lin. The flames continued to spread, finally enveloping the entire outer perimeter of the Rainbow Realm. Fierce beasts roared in the mist, and some of them charged out of the mist, roaring in the firestorm. They didn't seem to fear the high temperatures, and some beasts resembling fire pythons even twisted their bodies in the flames, showing no discomfort, as if they were disdainful of the fire. As the firestorm engulfed the entire Rainbow Realm, the vermilion bird began its third awakening. At the location where Wang Lin sat cross-legged, his ancient god physique cracked, as if all the liquid within his body had vanished in an instant, and his skin aged rapidly, covered in a dense network of cracks. The flames around his body were the fiercest, with endless heat radiating from his body, stirring the air, and forming a massive vortex of flames that slowly spun above him. A painful scream echoed from his body as the white vermilion bird struggled to fly out. Clearly, this third awakening was not only a test for the bird itself but also a crisis. Wang Lin's mind went blank. It felt as though he had become the vermilion bird, with the fire seed inside the bird releasing endless heat that kept pouring out. But the more it poured out, the more heat was generated, as if he were about to burn himself to ashes. If the heat energy slowed down even a little, he felt as though he might be incinerated completely. This was an endless cycle. The more heat he released, the more heat accumulated. The vermilion bird's roar echoed through the land, like a fierce and desperate cry before death. This sensation was unlike any of Wang Lin's previous two awakenings. Compared to those, this third awakening was far more difficult. The heat was even starting to burn towards his essence spirit, which was something Wang Lin never expected. He hadn't imagined that the third awakening of the vermilion bird would be like this. As the heat inside his body grew, the speed of its release couldn't keep up with the flames inside him, and the burning sensation became clearer. His skin cracked more and more, merging into one large crack that seemed on the verge of collapsing. Suddenly, Wang Lin opened his eyes and let out a long, anguished howl, as if trying to release all the heat inside him with this cry. As the painful roar reverberated, a thick wave of heat surged from his mouth, spreading through his body, causing every hair on his body to struggle against the heat. Vermilion bird. Awakening. Vermilion bird. Wang Lin's mind became foggy. He instinctively tried to release the heat within him, but this method was like drinking poison to quench thirst. It didn't solve the fundamental problem. At this rate, he would surely die. His eyes filled with blood vessels, a manic look in them. Either be burned to death, or be reborn in the flames. Wang Lin's very nature was forged with tenacity and the will to fight. Deep in his heart, he harbored defiance against the heavens themselves. The more intense the flames became, the more the heat within him roared, and the stronger his defiant spirit surged. If ending this fire won't solve the problem, then I won't vent it at all. I'll keep it all inside and see what this fire can really do to me. Amidst the agony, Wang Lin let out a long, wild laugh. His expression grew increasingly frenzied as he sealed off every pore and even his 7 orifices, locking his body down completely. He allowed the fiery heat inside to rise unchecked, not letting a single trace escape. This kind of courage, akin to self-immolation, seemed simple on the surface, yet in this vast world, how many could truly pull it off? As Wang Lin sealed his body, the flames within him surged to terrifying levels. The intense heat rumbled through him in waves. His body was on the verge of collapse, yet he gritted his teeth and endured it all. Time ticked by. The heat inside him grew ever fiercer, his skin now glowing red and white, until the surrounding world itself began to crack and crumble. At that instant, the flame within him reached its peak and exploded violently within his body. A heatwave beyond description erupted skyward, engulfing Wang Lin's entire body in flames. He was completely obscured, hidden within the inferno. As the fire burned, its color slowly shifted from white to blue. The moment the blue flames appeared, they swept outward in all directions. The heat they carried far surpassed that of the white flames, dominating all of heaven and earth. The blast of blue fire surged outward, instantly turning the entire rainbow realm into a blazing blue hell. On the outskirts of the realm, once filled with fierce beasts and shrouded in white flame, the fire suddenly changed, replaced in an instant by a strange and eerie blue glow. With a single flicker of this blue radiance, all fire turned blue. Even the fierce beasts that had once ignored the flames, or those that exuded oppressive might within them, now let out terrified shrieks, fleeing wildly. Their bodies turned to mist in a desperate attempt to resist the fire, as if instinctively terrified of this blue flame. Among them, the previously dismissive fire pythons roared in panic. They too dissolved into mist, attempting to resist. One of the fire pythons was a fraction too slow. Instantly, its body was engulfed in blue light. Within moments, pained howls echoed out. It was burned alive. Its very soul was devoured by the flame, becoming part of the fire's will. A fire capable of burning even a fierce beast at the perfect shattered nirvana stage, such a flame was virtually unheard of in the world. Under the onslaught of the blue flame, countless cave mansions within the valley collapsed. Restrictions and barriers shattered like brittle glass, unable to withstand the scorching force. At that moment, the entire rainbow realm was ablaze. The blazing blue fire roared at the heavens, as if screaming in fury. Deep within the realm, a white-haired old man flew at top speed toward Wang Lin's location. But just as he neared, his expression changed drastically. Before him, a wave of blinding blue fire surged like an ocean of rage. His face turned deathly pale as he hastily formed hand seals and summoned a magical treasure. Only then did he manage to survive the oncoming wave of fire. Yet the sweat on his brow and the terror in his eyes betrayed his inner turmoil. What kind of fire is this? He had cultivated his entire life, experienced much, and seen many wonders. But never had he encountered a blue flame like this, one capable of threatening even a shattered nirvana cultivator. It could burn both body and essence spirit alike. This flame left the white-haired elder utterly shaken. At the epicenter of the explosion, where Wang Lin had been sitting in meditation, the source of the blue fire erupted skyward. Its brilliance lit everything within sight. From within the absolute blue glow, inside the indescribably beautiful flame, came the cry of a vermilion bird. The moment the vermilion bird's call echoed out, a blue vermilion bird burst forth from the fire, as if reborn from the ashes. Its arrival caused the sea of blue fire across the rainbow realm to surge wildly, almost as if it were cheering in jubilation. Lord Sacred Sovereign has been in closed-door cultivation for over a month now. Listening to the roars in his ears, one of the elders said with great concern. The person beside him was about to speak, but suddenly the roars in the hall became even more intense. A thunderous sound, as though someone were slamming their head into the walls, echoed through the space. The hall shook, and immediately, numerous seals appeared to prevent it from collapsing. The 4 people outside the hall looked at each other, each recognizing the deepening anxiety and panic in one another's eyes. Inside the Azure Dragon Hall, in a secret chamber, an old man sat cross-legged. This old man, with his hair completely white and his body thin and frail, had a distorted expression on his face, as if enduring unimaginable pain. Sweat beads the size of peas dripped down his clothes, and the endless roars echoed throughout the hall, even reaching far beyond it. On his shoulders, legs, hips, and chest, 8 black chains were tightly bound to him, linking him to the walls of the secret chamber. Floating in the chamber were 4 magical treasures. Any member of the Four Saints sect would immediately recognize them as the 4 ancient sacred artifacts of the sect. These 4 artifacts emitted a radiant glow, enveloping the old man as though suppressing him. The old man was none other than the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor. His face contorted in agony, and a massive flesh bulge, 7 inches high, suddenly appeared on his right arm. The bulge moved rapidly under his skin, traveling down his arm and chest, before circulating through his entire body. The roar of the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor resounded once again. His body writhed in struggle, the sound of the iron chains rattling. He charged forward and slammed into the wall of the secret chamber. With a loud crash, cracks appeared in the wall, but it quickly returned to normal. The 4 ancient sacred artifacts around him flared with even brighter light, and ethereal marks of the vermilion bird, azure dragon, white tiger, and black tortoise formed around the old man, firmly restraining his body. Faintly, a weakened azure dragon appeared above him. This azure dragon looked ancient, with a profound aura of time. On its body, countless blood-colored lumps had formed, horrifying to behold. It was hard to tell how much time had passed, but gradually, the roar of the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor weakened. The 7-inch bulge on his body shrank slowly before disappearing entirely. The sound of the chain stopped, and the sacred emperor's face gradually became calm. He sat cross-legged, breathing heavily, and after a long pause, he let out a bitter sigh. "I have one once again," he gasped, about to regulate his breathing, but at that moment, he suddenly looked up, gazing far into the distance. His expression changed to one of surprise, and after a moment of contemplation, he burst into wild laughter. 2 lines of tears streamed down his face. Good. Good. As expected of the sacred emperor chosen by the old vermilion bird. To think he can be reborn through fire, awakening the vermilion bird 3 times. After all this time, perhaps the first vermilion bird to awaken 3 times since ancient times. Good. You have such a fortune. It's not in vain for me to have poured my unspoken efforts into this. As the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor laughed, footsteps immediately echoed throughout the hall. The 4 elders hurried towards him, and their voices came from outside the secret chamber. "We welcome the sacred sovereign out of closed-door cultivation." With those words, the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor formed a hand seal, and with a single gesture, the chains on his body vanished. The 4 ancient sacred artifacts transformed into 4 streaks of light, merging into his body. With a flick of his sleeve, the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor stepped out of the secret chamber. He gave a cold glance at the 4 people in front of him and slowly spoke. "Has there been any change in the Vermilion Bird Star?" In the spatial rift connected to the Vermilion Bird Star, the ancient gods are about to awaken. But we have already followed the sacred sovereign's orders and used the blood and clan seals of the 4 clans to set up the primordial grand formation outside. Hearing this, the Azure Dragon's sacred emperor silently nodded. He gazed into the distance, his expression growing complex. After a long while, his eyes flashed with cold light, and his voice turned sharp as he spoke with a chilling tone. "The Xun'er Star domain has been in chaos for far too long, and now Luo Tian is taking this opportunity to invade. Gather all members of the Four Saints sect. I will reclaim the Xun'er Star domain, and all rebellious cultivators will either submit or die." The 4 elders in front of him were shaken. They suddenly looked up, their faces filled with excitement, and they all shouted in unison, "Understood, Sacred Sovereign." They immediately retreated, spreading the enormous decree to the entire sect. The entire Four Saints sect sprang into action. The people from the outer realm will come, but will it still be in time? The Azure Dragon's sacred emperor sighed lightly, as if speaking to himself. In the Cloud Sea Star domain, within the Rainbow Realm, as the blue vermilion bird soared through the sky, Wang Lin's figure slowly emerged from the blue flame. He gazed ahead at the blue world, his eyes gleaming brightly. "Fire, thunder, battle, in the true and false realms of my own intent, if I can merge them, my cultivation will progress, and no one will be my match under the tribulation of heaven and man. But this all requires one opportunity." Wang Lin's gaze stretched far into the distance, towards the deepest part of the Rainbow Realm. It seemed as if he could see a towering mountain peak, and at the peak, a cave mansion, where strange sights appeared within. Sowing the Tao to attain the Tao, who will come to harvest the fruit when it ripens? Wang Lin's gaze flashed as he raised his right hand and pointed forward. With that single gesture, the blue vermilion bird outside his body let out a piercing screech, its body surging forward, engulfed in a tempest of blue flames. It roared through the air, creating violent winds and sweeping blue fire in all directions, crashing through every obstacle as it charged towards the elderly white-haired man who had appeared 10,000 feet away. The white-haired elder was surrounded by 9 shattered beast bones, which momentarily pushed back the surrounding flames, allowing him to accelerate towards Wang Lin. However, as his body entered the 10,000-foot range, he suddenly came to a halt, his expression turning solemn. Before him, the blue light from the sky seemed like an ocean, rushing towards him with a roaring heat wave. The 9 beast bones in front of him cracked loudly, as if unable to withstand the oppressive heat, threatening to shatter. This kind of terrifying flame is rare in the world. This child's cultivation might not be high, but with just this flame power, he is more than capable of contending with a shattered nirvana cultivator, and without losing an inch. It's a pity. The elder's hands formed seals, and his primordial energy surged with immense power. The overwhelming energy of the late shattered nirvana stage swirled around him, and a gigantic sphere appeared between his hands. The sphere contained vast amounts of primordial energy, rapidly rotating, releasing an overwhelming destructive force. The sovereign must want this soul for its purity, but more importantly, for its comprehension of the flames. The elder speculated, a flash of killing intent in his eyes. His mission was to kill Wang Lin and take his soul, and nothing would stop him. With a push of his hands, the sphere let out a howling sound as if calling something. At the same time, the elder's low voice echoed through the heavens and earth. Summon, rebel practitioner. The moment his words rang out, 7 colored rays of light pierced through the blue flames covering the sky, as if to challenge the blue inferno. From within the 7-colored light, an ethereal figure appeared, accompanied by a giant compass that spread across the sky. But that wasn't all. More 7-colored rays transformed into a massive 7-colored sword, sweeping through the air as if to slice through the blue inferno. These divine abilities, formed from the 7-colored rays, were all part of the rebel practitioner's arts, summoned by the elder's hands. Their power far surpassed that of Song Zitsong. As the 7-colored sword appeared, it immediately howled through the air, transforming into 7-colored sword energy that shot straight for the approaching blue inferno and the blue vermilion bird. The blue vermilion bird screeched, its body surging with flames as it raced forward to meet the 7-colored sword energy. The two forces collided with a thunderous roar, and the ethereal figure in the sky took a step forward, waving its hands to release waves of killing intent. These waves of killing intent spread across the sky like rain, rushing straight towards the blue flames. But with the blue vermilion bird's resistance, the shockwaves scattered with deafening sounds, shattering the killing intent. It seemed that all divine abilities were nothing before the vermilion bird. Wang Lin gazed at everything happening 10,000 feet away, and in an instant, his body flashed forward, transforming into a streak of blue light heading straight ahead. His left eye glowed with blue flames, and immediately, a sea of fire spread out, sweeping through the heavens and earth, heading straight for the massive compass. The compass spun with a loud roar, but before it could unleash any divine abilities, it was engulfed by the sea of flames as Wang Lin rapidly closed in. Crush! Wang Lin's low shout rang out, and the compass immediately erupted into flames, crashing apart with a mighty explosion. In midair, Wang Lin made a hand seal with his left hand and pointed downward. The blue vermilion bird roared, and the sea of flames, covering an area of 10,000 feet, surged towards the white-haired elder to devour him. The entire scene unfolded in the blink of an eye. As soon as the elder unleashed his divine abilities, Wang Lin's strike violently shattered everything, locking onto the elder with murderous intent. The elder watched Wang Lin from afar, his expression turning even graver. He swung his arms, pointed to the sky with his right hand, and shouted, "By the order of the one who guards the 7-colored realm, summon all rebel practitioners here and let them reveal themselves." As the elder's voice echoed, the 7-colored rays of light in the sky seemed to go wild, swiftly piercing through the sea of flames, and instantly, dozens of ethereal figures appeared throughout the heavens and earth. These figures, old and young, male and female, were somewhat blurred, emanating an overwhelming aura. As they materialized, they all locked their gaze on Wang Lin. Immediately, endless divine abilities erupted from their bodies, each one powerful enough to rival the heavens with finger. They all converged on Wang Lin, surging towards him with tremendous force. No matter how strong your flame power is, you are still just a pure nirvana cultivator. Under the power of my rebel practitioner arts, you cannot withstand it. Your flames are indeed formidable, but I possess treasures given to me by the sovereign. Your flames cannot break through these artifacts." The elder's voice was calm as he spoke slowly. More importantly, he had absorbed the battle intent of Warsk Wild. Although he hadn't fully integrated it, even the slight feeling he experienced was enough to give him the determination to fight this shattered Nirvana cultivator at the late stage. Just like the words of War Xingye that echoed in Wang Lin's mind. As cultivators, what is there to fear in a battle? Wang Lin, suspended in midair, his left eye flared with blue flames, spreading out from his pupil, suddenly appearing above his brow. I forsake the concept of life and death. At this moment, I am replaced by flame, with the flame comprehension taking the place of the Tao realm. In this instant, I am fire itself. I am the vermilion bird of the third awakening. Wang Lin's brow erupted in flames, and a blue flame mark appeared. In the instant this mark appeared, Wang Lin was no longer a cultivator. He was a flame immortal, the master of all fire in heaven and earth. At this moment, he resembled the Fire Sparrow clan, the only difference being that the flame on his brow was blue, while the Fire Sparrow clan had red flames on theirs. The blue flame totem burned at his brow. Wang Lin let out a long howl, and at that moment, the blue vermilion bird roared simultaneously. Within this roar was a jubilant force that shook the world. The blue vermilion bird flickered and soared toward the sky, merging with Wang Lin's brow. This scene made it seem as though the vermilion bird had become Wang Lin's essence spirit. At this moment, the essence spirit returned to the aperture. In that instant, new armor appeared around Wang Lin's body. It was in the shape of a vermilion bird, entirely blue, and as he wore it, Wang Lin resembled an incredibly noble vermilion bird. Command the fire of heaven and earth converge. Wang Lin spoke in a low voice, and in an instant, the blue flames that filled the entire rainbow realm surged, as though welcoming their master. Suddenly, as Wang Lin's words fell, the heavens and earth rumbled. Endless blue flames from every corner of the rainbow realm began to converge toward Wang Lin. The speed was beyond belief, as they rushed toward Wang Lin with wild abandon. From a high vantage point, one could clearly see the sea of fire contracting in the world, converging at the center, Wang Lin, so fast that it seemed like it would arrive in the blink of an eye. This spectacle made the elderly white-haired man gasp. With a hand seal, the rebel divine ability of the universe immediately descended. Countless divine abilities and powerful spells flooded the sky, all heading straight for Wang Lin. However, just as these divine abilities neared, the sea of fire finished contracting. It was as if Wang Lin had become a fire vortex, absorbing all the incoming blue flames from the heavens and earth. Amidst the roaring, the divine abilities collided with the sea of fire. The sound of explosions echoed through the sky, and it was hard to describe the grandeur of the scene. The entire rainbow realm seemed to be burning, and the end of this blaze was Wang Lin. In the midst of the continuous collapse, all the flames were absorbed into Wang Lin's armor, and more surged into his brow. At that moment, the blue light emanating from his brow became nearly otherworldly. All fire in heaven and earth, heed my command. Burn everything to ash. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but this calm voice carried a soul-piercing heat. As his voice fell, a blue light flashed fiercely from his brow, and the flames erupted. Centered around Wang Lin, a vast sea of blue flames swept in all directions. All rebel divine abilities crumbled under the flames, and even the white-haired old man's face changed drastically as he retreated, his hands forming seals, preparing to resist. But at that moment, the 9 beast bones surrounding him exploded, unable to withstand the power of the flames, turning to dust and vanishing. As the beast bones disintegrated, the blue flames howled and rushed toward the white-haired old man, who looked as though he would be devoured. A sinister look appeared on his face as his right hand raised to his brow, and suddenly, his brow seemed to crack, forming a gap. From this gap, black light emitted, resembling a third eye. Descendants of the Seal Annihilation clan, summon the great divine abilities of our clan to seal this person's fire totem. Just as the flames were about to consume him, the old man revealed his true identity. Black light flickered from his brow, forming a complex symbol in front of him. It seemed to draw his life force, and in an instant, the old man appeared incredibly aged. The black light symbol flashed with an impossible speed, heading straight for Wang Lin, piercing through the blue flames, and directly landing on Wang Lin's brow. In that moment, Wang Lin staggered back several feet. The blue flame totem on his brow seemed to go wild, attempting to break through the black symbol. The symbol flashed, fiercely resisting, and for a moment, neither side gained the upper hand. In ancient times, there was a clan that possessed the power to seal the heavens. This clan was once one of the strongest among the primordial people, but their numbers were so few that they had nearly become extinct by now. However, legends say that every member of this clan possessed the ability to seal all living beings. This old man was not truly a descendant of the Seal Annihilation clan, but through some special method, he had obtained a portion of their bloodline. Because of this, he could wield the heaven-sealing art. However, each time he used it, it consumed a tremendous amount of his life force that could never be replenished. If you were just a cultivator, I'd let it pass. But you dared to use the sigil of my ancient clan. I have sealed your flame totem. Let's see what divine abilities you have left. The old man feared Wang Lin's flames deeply. Otherwise, he would never have sacrificed his own lifespan to cast the heaven-sealing art. Now, his body flickered and he shot forward, charging straight at Wang Lin. To him, Wang Lin, whose flame totem was sealed, was utterly vulnerable. Although the seal wasn't permanent, Wang Lin's flames were simply too powerful. He was confident he could suppress them for a short while. Wang Lin fell back. The flame totem at his brow was trapped within the seal. From within it radiated an aura so overwhelming it shook the mind, an aura capable of sealing the powers of all living things. In the instant the flame totem was sealed, the surrounding sea of blue fire vanished without a trace. The rainbow realm returned to calm, as if the previous inferno had been a mere illusion. Only the charred remnants on the ground bore witness to the terrifying power of those blue flames. Flames aren't my only divine ability. Seal them if you like, what does it matter? As Wang Lin retreated, his right eye suddenly manifested a lightning sigil. At once, the previously calmed rainbow realm was overtaken by deafening thunder, and an endless surge of lightning and thunderbolts exploded into existence. At the same time, the lightning sigil from his right eye shifted, instantly appearing on his brow. There, it blazed with brilliance, exuding an awe-inspiring thunder might that seemed to command the heavens and earth. Go ahead, seal my lightning totem too. Thunder and lightning of the world, heed my command. Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed to the sky. A thunderous boom erupted. In the rainbow realm, thunderbolts multiplied wildly and condensed around Wang Lin, transforming his surroundings into a lightning hell. Fire Sparrow Clan. Lightning Thunder Clan. That's impossible, the white-haired old man gasped, stunned and disbelieving. With Wang Lin pointing skyward, he now appeared fully as one of the Lightning Thunder Clan. No, even more so. His mastery of thunder surpassed even theirs, as if he could command the lightning of the entire world. As Wang Lin's hand dropped, the sky across the rainbow realm erupted with thunderbolts that surged madly toward the old man. The lightning pool below surged upward, roaring as it struck him. The scene resembled a heavenly tribulation. Wang Lin stood at its heart, the one commanding it. Even his thunder and lightning are powerful enough to rival a shattered nirvana cultivator. This man must die. No wonder Dozo wanted his soul. If left alive, he will bring disaster to our ancient clan, the old man growled. His body lifted into the air, and his right hand rose, glowing with a strange light. Heaven and earth energy surged toward it uncontrollably. As he ascended, thunderbolts struck down around him with explosive force. The entire world seemed engulfed in lightning. Then die beneath the most powerful divine art of you cultivators, the old man roared. His right hand slammed forward, and in that instant, a massive palm imprint materialized with a deafening crash. It immediately began absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy, rising until it seemed to rival the heavens in size. Spirit Subjugation Seal. Wang Lin's pupil shrank violently. I once studied under the divine sect and learned this technique. Killing you with it today will complete its legacy, the old man declared, unfazed that Wang Lin recognized the Spirit Subjugation Seal. After all, this technique held great fame across the Cloud Sea Star domain. As the seal emerged from his hand, it unleashed a monstrous pressure, sweeping toward Wang Lin. Thunder clashed with it violently, sending out earth-shaking booms. Wang Lin's eyes burned with battle will. He stared down the approaching sky-high palm, raised his own right hand, visualized the imprint in his mind, and struck forward fiercely. Instantly, a portion of the heaven and earth energy that had been drawn into the old man's seal split off, rushing toward Wang Lin. In a flash, another sky-high spirit subjugation seal appeared within the rainbow realm. This stunned the white-haired old man once again. His moment of daze quickly gave way to an even deadlier killing intent. Within the Cloud Sea Star domain, seeing a spirit subjugation seal was rare. But witnessing two of them clash in a battle to the death, this was something that hadn't occurred in 10,000 years. And yet now, within the rainbow realm, under this very sky, two spirit subjugation seals had appeared at once, engaged in a deadly duel. Which would prevail? No one knew. But the moment they emerged, The rainbow realm trembled on the brink of collapse. Cracks split open across the earth with loud snaps, forming chasms that separated the two seals, one belonging to Wang Lin, the other to the old man. The two colossal palm imprints hurtled toward each other at breakneck speed. Though it couldn't compare to a true beast servant seal, it had already taken form, containing nearly 30% of the true seal's power. With his cultivation at the late shattered nirvana stage and his formidable divine art, Wang Lin forcefully activated this self-comprehended beast servant seal, making it nearly indistinguishable from the real thing. Wang Lin's beast servant seal was enlightened upon in the Renegade Immortal world. After multiple realizations, he finally mastered its execution. What he grasped was only the surface, but because his insights were tied to the palm imprint of the Renegade Immortal world, a mark left by a cultivator whose power could shake the heavens and earth, it was extraordinary. Otherwise, how could a single palm imprint remain for countless millennia, still exuding aura and even leaving behind a nearly world-shattering crack in the earth? Because of this, even though Wang Lin's cultivation wasn't enough, the palm imprint now carried his thunder power. Combined with the infusion of ancient god aura, this beast servant seal became so convincing that it could pass for the real thing. At this moment, as the two towering heaven-piercing palm imprints roared forth, it was as though the entire rainbow realm was about to collapse. Wild gales swept across the land. As they closed in, the two palm imprints collided with a deafening boom. Boom, 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 boom. The earth shook, mountains crumbled, and the sky was torn apart. The impact between the two palm imprints unleashed a devastating force that could annihilate both heaven and earth. Under the relentless shockwaves, the rainbow realm between the two palms instantly collapsed. A massive rift was torn open, splitting the rainbow realm cleanly in two. In the distance, Chen Tianjun had been watching the battle all along. Words couldn't describe his shock. His mouth went dry, his heart trembled, and he made a firm decision. If he made it out alive this time, he would never again step foot into any buried treasure site. Never again would he seek adventure. The elderly woman in the green robe also emerged, her weary body flying out into the air. From afar, she sensed the ferocity of the battle ahead. Her face was pale, but at this moment, all her venomous hatred toward Wang Lin vanished. Instead, a deep sense of awe took root within her. Just what is this man's cultivation level? Compared to him, I'm not even worthy of being called an opponent. The old woman gasped, eyes wide with fear and reverence. Meanwhile, in the valley where Yunhunzi was trapped, the spreading flames and thunder caused the mist to recede. The fierce beast within trembled and hid, finally allowing Yunhunzi to break free. But the moment he escaped, he immediately sensed the violent tremors shaking the rainbow realm. The surge of heaven and earth energy and the roar of thunder rang clearer than ever. What made his heart skip a beat was the fact that, within this devastating shockwave, he clearly sensed Wang Lin's aura. As the two beast servant seals collided, splitting the rainbow realm in two and tearing the continent apart, the shockwave slammed directly into Wang Lin. His body was blasted backward, coughing out a mouthful of fresh blood. His face turned deathly pale, and even the lightning sigil on his forehead began to dim and weaken. That previous palm strike had consumed a vast amount of his lightning thunder power. The white-haired old man wasn't faring much better. He staggered backward, each step stamping deep craters into the ground. His face paled, and blood trickled from the corner of his mouth. Yet, despite his state, his expression remained ferocious. Mid-retreat, his right foot stomped down fiercely. In a flash, he charged forward, bursting through the swirling dust and earth, heading straight for Wang Lin. Lightning Thunderclan's sigil. I'll seal you again. I refuse to believe. After sealing your flame totem and lightning totem, you still have a third mark. Like a lightning bolt, the old man pierced through the haze, his right hand slapping hard onto his own forehead. Instantly, the black crack at his brow reopened, and a second rune mark erupted, radiating endless black light as it shot straight out. This was his second time unleashing the heaven sealing art, and it had drained most of his life force and longevity. His body was now shriveled and gaunt, as though he had just crawled out of a grave, reeking of decay. The black rune mark shot forth like lightning, slamming onto Wang Lin's forehead, forming a second seal that tightly locked down his lightning sigil. The old man, with a twisted, savage grin, charged in with terrifying speed. Raising his right hand, heaven and earth energy condensed into a long spear, aiming straight at Wang Lin. Indeed, Wang Lin had no third sigil, but beyond his flame and lightning he still had battle. Battle intent, the legacy of War Xingye. This intent, Wang Lin had never fully fused before. Yet now, At the instant when the old man charged at him, a look of madness surged in Wang Lin's eyes. From between his brows, an intense golden light suddenly burst forth. That golden radiance filled the heavens and earth. Amid its flickering brilliance, an ancient, primal battle character emerged on Wang Lin's forehead. At the same time, a wave of battle intent swept across the land. Rising to his feet, Wang Lin at this moment no longer seemed to be Wang Lin. He felt like the incarnation of War Xingye himself. His upright figure stood tall and unyielding. The incredibly powerful blue flames had already shocked him. After sealing with the technique of sealing the heavens, a lightning sigil had appeared once again. He had originally thought that the spirit-taming seal could kill this person, but he hadn't expected that the opponent also possessed the spirit-taming seal. He had also believed that after using the technique of sealing the heavens once more to seal the lightning totem, this person would have no more fighting power, but once again, he miscalculated. A battle character totem had appeared on the person's forehead, one that he had never seen before. He even had the feeling that if he didn't hesitate to burn his lifespan to use the technique of sealing the heavens again, even if he sealed this battle character totem, the person in front of him would still unleash another force. This feeling was extremely intense, and in a brief moment of disorientation, Wang Lin was already near. As he rushed forward, he didn't even use any spells or divine abilities, instead relying solely on his physical strength, using his ancient god physique to continuously bombard his opponent. On him, an overwhelming battle will emerged, radiating out and transforming Wang Lin into a figure resembling a battle immortal. The white-haired elder retreated. His physical body wasn't as strong as his opponent's, but his cultivation was formidable. He immediately unleashed his divine abilities, and the two immediately engaged in close combat. During the battle, the elder used a large number of magical treasures, but none of them were able to make Wang Lin pause for even a moment. The sound of booming punches echoed as Wang Lin turned his body and swept out with his right foot, forcing the white-haired elder to retreat repeatedly. This white-haired elder had rarely encountered such attacks in his lifetime. Typically, during battles, everything depended on spells and magical treasures, but even though Wang Lin's every punch and kick contained earth-shattering power, a slight touch from him almost shattered the elder's body. The elder grew more and more alarmed as the battle progressed. If this person doesn't die, he will definitely be a great enemy of my primordial people. Especially the calmness he carries within, that is even more terrifying. The mark on Wang Lin's forehead flickered as images of battles replayed in his mind. Battle Xingye's life truly lived up to its name, for he bore the character, War. In his life, there were countless battles, big and small, but he had never retreated even a step, always brimming with battle intent, accumulating vast experience. This experience formed his conceptual realm, his sole battle character. The battle of the physical body was for experience, while the insight in his heart and mind was the very essence of the battle character. What is war to Wang Xingye? To him, it was a spirit, an idea, a will to defy the heavens. I may die, but my soul shall remain as the battle spirit of this world. I may perish, but my thoughts will continue to shake the heavens. Born as a hero, even in death I shall be a ghostly champion. As cultivators, what is there to fear in one battle? Wang Lin inherited this philosophy in the vast combat experience. At this moment, his movements were like the wind, each thunderous sound of his attacks making the white-haired elder increasingly fearful. The elder clasped his hands into seals, causing all his primordial energy to surge and, at the cost of wasting it, formed a massive collapse before him. Using the shockwave from this, he distanced himself from Wang Lin, his face pale, and his expression filled with lingering fear. As Wang Lin once again approached, the elder raised his hands, closed his eyes, and formed seals. Immediately, a wave of invisible ripples spread from the elder's body throughout the seven-colored realm. Summon the lost ones, the inscribed shadows, all those who have been sealed for tens of thousands of years, merge your Tao souls with theirs, and come. As the elder's voice fell, the lost ones and inscribed shadows, who had vanished between the fire and lightning, instantly appeared in every corner of the seven-colored realm. The moment they appeared, they instantly disintegrated. Each of the lost ones briefly regained clarity in their eyes before turning to ash and vanishing. As they dissipated, Tao souls rushed out and flew towards the sky, heading straight for the white-haired elder. The inscribed shadows followed suit, dispersing as well. A vast amount of Tao will pervaded, forming Tao souls that flew toward the elder. Even the fierce beasts that had been struggling in the flames on the periphery were now disintegrating into blood and flesh, their souls flying out and being drawn toward the elder. Borrow the power of the primordial era, let the Tao I cultivated scatter. In an instant, countless Tao souls within the seven-colored realm gathered in front of the white-haired elder. Suddenly, under the fusion of these Tao souls, a yellow glow erupted, spreading throughout the sky and enveloping Wang Lin. Scatter the Tao. The elder's voice became twisted as he used all his cultivation to unleash the Sealing Annihilation clan technique. This technique was one of the most terrifying in his clan, second only to the ancient gods, ancient demons, and ancient fiends. This technique was neither a spell nor a divine ability, but a rare Tao technique. Anyone within the yellow glow would lose their cultivated Tao, becoming ordinary. With the elder's cultivation, he could not fully unleash this powerful ability and could only maintain it for 3 breaths. Just 3 breaths would deplete 90% of the elder's lifespan. But now, in order to fulfill the order of his master, he did not hesitate. Victory or defeat lay in this final move.